Hi, this is Brian with Team Tactical. Welcome, team. Today we've got Neil here with an update to a previous video for his Canik TP9 Elite. Tell us what happened.
All right, guys. So as you guys may recall with the previous video, I acquired the Canik TP9SF Elite at a ridiculously great deal. I was super excited about it. Got home, and upon removing the stickers that come standard along the slide on both sides, just right here and on the other side, I did notice that there were a couple of little markings here. I thought initially that it was a little bit of a sticky residue from the stickers that were on there. I was able to rub off the small amount that was towards the front of the slide. I just thought the back was being a little bit stubborn. I tried, just really getting there with my finger, and then I thought, hey, maybe it's just caked on there. It's been there for a minute, so I used a nylon brush, then moved up to a brass brush, and at that point I'm like, okay, it's not residue. Looking at it a little bit closer, it looked like the Cerakote had chipped off a little bit in a couple of different spots. Okay.
That was issue number one.
That was issue number one. Issue number two was the fact that if I were to try to engage and rack the slide randomly, right? There would be moments where it would just get caught up on something, it felt like, and it just would not engage. I literally would have to just kind of tap on the slide on the top just a little bit, and then in most cases it would engage again.
So I'll tell you my experience with it when we had looked at it originally is that as that was being racked back, it almost felt as if the spring was slipping somehow, like it just wasn't in place and wouldn't engage, and as soon as you gave it a tap or a bump, it would start to release that slide. That's what it felt like to me, but we had no proof of that. We do have video of that behavior from this firearm.
Yep. No,
so what'd you do?
And I totally agree with you with that. So I thought it might have been, the guide rod as well. Now in hindsight, I think it might have been just the finish itself of the pistol. So good question. What did I do? So I did take it out on range day because we already had that planned, right? And I was super excited to go try it out. And it definitely is a shooter. I'm super excited about this particular pistol. I have told Brian as well that out of the similar pistols that I do have, so the pistols that I find that are kind of similar to this particular guy, the Elite, are my M&P the M&P 2.0 compact, right? And then I have the Glock 19 Gen 5.
Very similar in size.
Very similar in size. All three of those pistols, these pistols, they're just very similar in size. I mean, I actually enjoyed this particular pistol out of the three. That's not to say that the other two are bad. I like them as well. The reasons why I prefer the Elite over the other two really comes down to what they've done to make it ambidextrous for us lefties, right? So you guys may be saying, well, the Gen 5, it's also ambi, right? True, technically it's true. The slide release, with my experience, I've not been able to engage on the right side with my thumb for the Glock 19. It's just very tough. I literally have to take my hands off the grip and really push down for it to engage. Now the standard, the left side, no problem. I can do that with my index finger and just get it to engage. But I have such a hard time with that right side. Where on the Canik here, the Canik here, it has a much larger slide release slide lever here. So that's on both sides, okay? And it makes it so that it's super easy for me to actuate, right? And that I absolutely love. I don't have to take my hand off you know, the grip, and I can still keep, you know, just keep it where it was at and just reload and continue. I love it. Aside from that, I mean, of course, you know, all my pistols I was able to change out the mag release to the other side, but I'll have to say, you know, it's out of the box. I do like, you know, all the mag release buttons from Canik because they're all aluminum.
Yep.
You know, aluminum or steel, I'm not sure, but they're not plastic.
Yeah, it's not plastic.
Right?
So I'll tell you a little bit of my experience with this. So during our range day, I fired it. I do find this a lot more comfortable than my Glock 19. I am very comfortable with the M&P 2.0 compact myself, but for the amount you spend on something like this, it's a great pistol. So to steer you back into what had happened with, we'll call it pistol number 1.
Yep.
Because this is actually a different pistol.
It's a totally different pistol. So let's get into that story. So you guys heard just a little bit ago on what had happened, what was the issues with pistol number 1. Now, after range day, I was talking to Brian about it, and it was irking me. I don't think he even knew about my issues at that point. I had just voiced them after range day. I didn't want to derail ourselves from, you know, what we were doing that day. I just really wanted to try this guy out. So after speaking to Brian, he advised me maybe I should contact, you know, Canik, right, and just let them know what happened with the finish on the slide, and also more importantly, the malfunctions or what have you for the slide where, you know, you can't engage it, right?
So let me stop you. So the finish issue you were having, you were willing to live with. You were good with that. You weren't going to call. You just said, you know what? It's a sub $300 pistol.
Yep.
I'm just going to shoot it as is. It's a tool. We're good to go.
Yep.
Then you ran into some functional issues.
Yeah, some functional issues with the slide, and that got me to thinking a little bit more. And I was like, hey, if it comes down to it, and this was the only pistol that I had, you know, with reach or whatnot in a situation were to arise, I can't have it fail like it did.
Correct.
Right? So yeah, I did take his advice, and I did contact Canik, and just initially it was through email, through the customer service, just to let them know. It was over the weekend, so they weren't open. I wasn't going to be able to call them, but I wanted to get it at least out. That way I know the process has begun. I've notified them, right?
And you feel better.
Yeah, I do feel better, just, you know, just having done that, right? And I was kind of here and there about it, just to your point, because it's a sub $300 gun, and you know, in my eyes, I'm like, well, I wish it worked 100%, but if there's nothing else I can do about it, maybe I'll figure something out on my end, right? But the following week, they actually reached back out to me during business hours. So they told me, hey, based on what I sent in and the photos and whatnot, they advised me to just send it back in to them, right? So they can assess it. And more than likely, if there are damages to the slide, as far as the finish goes, and also the slide functional issue, they'll most likely just issue me a new handgun at that point.
The expectation was like for like.
Right, like for like. So a week goes by, and during this week, I mean, I've had phone calls with them, just inquiring, just questions, because I've never had to send in a pistol before personally for anything, so I was unsure of the process. I wanted to make sure that I get everything back to them.
I went through the same thing. I've sent in several pistols in the past, and a rifle, and it's good to ask the questions, and the manufacturers will tell you what that process looks like. They're used to it, and they expect those questions, and as a gun owner, it's good to know.
Right, absolutely. And everyone I spoke to, I think I spoke to maybe 3 different reps, and you know, the same ones I recognized their names, emailed me back. So I mean, the team has been, they were very, very helpful and forthcoming with, all the questions that I had, because I had plenty of them. I wanted to make sure this guy got back to them the exact way they wanted it, because per their email, their original email from my response, they said, hey, don't ship back XYZ because you're not going to get it back, right? And they had instructions on if we were needing to send the pistol in, try to ship it in this way or that way. They also provided me with a return label, which is super nice of them. I know that in some cases with returns, we don't always get that luxury.
In my case, not all the manufacturers will provide shipping.
Right. So they provided the shipping, they provided instructions for me. I then just need to be patient. I had a few questions still after the fact of mailing it off, so when I contacted them, they were super nice and very forthcoming.
What did they tell you as far as the turnaround time?
The turnaround time was about 2 weeks for if they needed to replace it. If it was a repair, we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks. That was kind of the standard for them, because at that point they hadn't received it yet, so they don't know if it's going to be a repair versus a replacement.
They have to triage it and see what's going on.
Exactly.
And what was the actual turnaround time?
The actual turnaround time was probably closer to like a week and a half. So super surprised.
Good.
Yeah, super surprised. Like I said, those guys were great, and a super surprise for me, because I don't know if I've mentioned it, but the original Elite that I had a Cerakote, a black Cerakote finish on the slide, and I believe the barrel had a different finish as well. Okay. It just seemed a little bit different than what I'm looking at here. The one I actually got back has some of their newer black nitride finishes on it. It looks like that's true for the slide as well as the barrel there. So I'm ecstatic, because I'm more of a fan of the nitride finishes versus Cerakote. None of my other pistols really are Cerakoted. I have nothing against Cerakote. It's just I like the clean look and feel of a nitride finish. So
the bottom line is that they replaced this pistol, not like for like, but gave you one of their newer models.
Yep.
I think the way that you explained it to me was that the pricing was inexpensive where you purchased the first pistol online because it was full stock.
Yeah, that's my belief. I mean, I found an excellent deal on it, and it was $279.
Yeah, it's a great price.
It was $279 for the Elite package. I'm not talking about the Elite 1, where it comes with one, magazine and no holster and this, that, and the other. This is the Elite, regular Elite package for $279, right? So I do believe it was that price because they were trying to just liquidate through some of that older stock, which was the older finish, the Cerakote finishes that they originally did. From what I understand and what I've read online, the black nitride finishes are something that they're doing. It's newer, right? So anyone that's purchasing anything new from this point on, they're seeing this type of product versus the Cerakote.
So we want to give a huge thumbs up to Canik and how they handled this return. I can only imagine this is just how they do business. I own a different model of this. In fact, we both own the TP9SF.
Yep, love that one too.
Yep, great pistol. I've shot the first version. We have another range day coming up this weekend. And we're both going to put some rounds to this and add that to this video. So team, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, please put them below. We'll see you next time.
All right, see you guys.